Hello, I think I'm live. Welcome to Grow with Angie. I am Angie, and this is my first live event, and I hope you can join me. If you're watching this on the live, please go ahead and make a comment below and let me see that you are here. If you are watching this on the playback, you can also leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. So whether you're here live or you're watching it on the playback, I'm glad that you clicked this video and are watching it. One thing I want to say about Grow with Angie. Hi, Angie. Angel Face Amy. Hi. Thank you for joining me. I can see the comments. This is very exciting. I'm under 1,000 subscribers, so I am using a third-party app, but I'm happy it's working. What I want to say about Grow with Angie, that it's called Grow with Angie and not just watch Angie grow things and I'm not going to try it on my own. I am going to try and make it's Amy. Hi, Amy. I'm going to try and make as many videos as I can on really easy homesteading, self-sustaining, gardening, chickens, whatever it might be that you can do at home. I'm not some big, huge, fancy farmer that, you can't obtain these things yourself. So welcome. I do have Q&As already written up. I was not sure how many people would be joining me live versus how many people would be watching it on the feedback. So I wrote down a lot of questions that I have gotten off of different social media platforms. So if you see me looking down, these are my really big notes. I do not have my glasses on because of my light. Hang on a second. See, I knew I'd forget something. Let me turn this other one on. There we go. It's a little bit better. It would bounce off my glasses. So I wrote my note cards really, really big. So before any further ado, let's get started. Like I said, I do not know everything, but as a young child, I thought my mom knew everything. So I grew up watching her do flowers and just really beautiful gardens with big, huge ponds and boardwalks over the little ponds and big arbors full of flowers. And I grew up in the city and then eventually moved out into the middle of the woods where I am now. I started with just tiny little gardening, a lot of the flowers, and then we added the chickens in later. And so I've learned a lot by having the chickens. That's been probably the most experimental thing that I have taken on, and it's been a lot of fun. Then this last winter during the lockdown, and we all suffered a little bit of depression from the lockdown, I think. And if you're in a state like I am, we are still partially locked down. And having the hydroponics inside the house and being able to garden all winter long and have the big bright grow lights was so nice. And I just think it helped more with seasonal depression than anything. And I am a huge advocate of the indoor hydroponics, as you can see on some of my other videos. And if you guys have any questions or anything, please interrupt me and ask as we go along. Otherwise, I will just be working on the questions that I have gotten off of my other communities. I am on Facebook if you'd like to follow me on Facebook. It is not a business page. It is not a group page. It is my own personal Facebook page. But to have the name, kind of a business name, my first name is Grow. My last name is with Angie. So you can find me there. I'm also on Instagram at grow.with.angie, and I post a lot of pictures of how my hydroponics are going, my aeroponics. I have pictures of chickens, just natural homesteading. And when I go outside for the summer and we end up doing the other gardening, then I will have a lot of those pictures as well. I also have a group on MeWe. Now, this is a group And I love MeWe. I cannot say enough. I can't believe more people haven't switched over to MeWe. Not only does it have a main page like Facebook, but it has a chat room. And we have a lot of people in that chat room. I think we're over about 500 people now. And there's a really good core of us that talk a lot in the chat and show pictures. So please find us on MeWe. And that group is called Grow with Angie as well. And these places are where I have gotten a lot of these questions. The hydroponic group also has an indoor garden group where everybody has the hydroponics like I do, the iHarvest. So I got a lot of questions from there too. So let's get started. I will stop rambling. That's why live is really hard. Okay, so my first question, how do you start an avocado tree? And this came from MeWe, Sally on MeWe. Starting an avocado tree, I have found so many different videos and little ads that come up on Facebook, maybe because I've been talking about it with people. And they do this whole take your pit out of the avocado, soak it in a bag for 24 hours, roll it in a paper towel, peel the skin out. It's so much drama. Don't do it. Literally cut your avocado, smack that seed out and stick it in dirt. Now, I have done this several times, and I am on one that is just over a year old. We did have a little drama with it, transplanting it to a new pot. Amy is actually one that was helping me with how to get it to not be in shock. She is doing a little bit better. My recommendation is get the biggest pot that you can and just start it in there, and you don't have to worry about transplanting it. They do not have a big root base. But just stick it in, put some dirt over top of it and water and keep the soil moist. And at some point, one little tiny stalk will come up. And as that stalk goes up, it will start doing little leaves. Now, mine is really tall, top heavy, and I have used chopsticks up the stem of the avocado and then took floral tape where you just pull it and it gets really sticky and wrapped it around the base of it. And that's keeping it to grow nice and tall and straight. So my tips are grab a pit, stick it in dirt, biggest pot you can find, and water it. That's it. If leaves fall off, leave it there too, because they like the balance that the leaves, the acidic balance that the leaves give. Number 2, how do you clean your hydroponic system and how often? And this comes from the Indoor Garden Groups page on Facebook. There are a couple of things you can do. You can tear them all apart and you can take them outside in the summer and you can use a power hose or power sprayer, or you can put them in the bathtub and you can wash them with warm water. And I actually don't do this. I haven't done this. I'm sure at some point I will. I keep up on my system. I'm very anal about keeping up on my system. So I'm always using hydrogen peroxide and Q-tips, and I'm cleaning around each of the little pod circles. I also have the reflective covers that go over the media, which is your grow base, and that stops algae from getting on the base, and it won't get inside of your unit. As long as you're taking the top off and you're wiping it out or you're wiping off outside. Sometimes I take a washcloth and I get in the basin and I wipe that out just to keep the water stirred up as best as I can. I have a fish bubbler, a little wave maker inside that keeps the water moving. So there are little tricks that you can do that you don't have to have it so annoyingly messy at any given point in time. But they are very, very easy to clean. A lot of my videos so far are of the iHarvest. I have one of the AeroGarden worm composting. So as we get into now a growing season, I will have more of that and more of the chickens as well. But you will see a lot of the iHarvest reviews on my channel. But I would just keep hydrogen peroxide handy. And when you see any buildup or algae, just wipe it off as you're going. Next question. I like this one. This one gets asked a lot on our group. This is also from Facebook. This was a private message to me from a Susan. And she asks if the iHarvest leak, if they leak. People are afraid to put them on wood floors or not have anything underneath of them. I don't have anything underneath of mine. I've not had any major leaking, but I want to use the word major. I did have a little bit of leakage, but it was my own fault. I was not trimming back one of my Swiss chards as much as I should. And the base of it was getting so big that it was pulling the rapid rooter or the basket. There's little clips to hold them in place, but it was pulling it out. And so the water was kind of getting on the base of the plant and running down and dripping. I'm so attentive to my unit that I caught it in the morning. There was a little water on the floor. The top of the tub or the basin of it is angled ever so slightly, which you wouldn't notice. But if there is any water on that, it will run back into itself. So I just say make sure you have it on a flat surface. If you want to buy a really big boot tray, there are a lot of people that use those when you put your winter boots and snowy. You can put it underneath of that. Recommend doing that right away when you're setting it up. Otherwise, you're going to have to tear it down and get it underneath of there. And I actually pull my plants out quite regularly, and I trim the root system, and that helps make sure you're really watching those plants and that they're not getting so big that they're pulling out. And I had just missed one. Otherwise, I have not had any leaking. Note to myself, let me know what you think of my channel. Please make sure you're putting comments on all of the videos. Just even a thumbs up, a like, really helps with the algorithm of YouTube. It is definitely an internet game. And the more comments, the more likes, and the more subscribes we get, the more YouTube will promote us to other people to watch our channel and help us grow. And yes, your opinions are very important to me, so keep those comments coming. The next one is, how do you grow spinach? Mine never work. This comes from the Indoor Gardening Works group on Facebook. And I did have a little problem with the spinach. My biggest advice is be patient. Spinach is a time game, and we can never be in a rush to have our spinach. So with spinach, I would not start it in the unit itself. And when I'm talking unit or iHarvest, you don't have to own an iHarvest. You could be doing any kind of not arrow garden, that's the other one. You could be doing any kind of hydroponic system. You could be doing a DIY, anything. It's all the same basic way that it works. So to me, I would start the seedlings in a seed tray or a garden tray. Get yourself a dome and a light on top and get those really rooted in that first. And once you see little roots coming out and they have a really good leaf base to them, then move them over to your hydroponic system. It's going to give them a little bit more of a chance to get secure with those roots. And again, just have patience. Once it really starts going up the middle, you'll see little leaves on the outside that look like they're dying. Don't worry, take those off. There are a lot of vegetables that I am learning that have what they call starter leaves. And those are the first leaves that really broke through the ground. And that's all their purpose was. And once up the middle, something else starts growing. And these little leaves, 2 or 3, usually they start to die off. Just get rid of them. They are just your starter leaves. And then all the nutrients is going to go to the actual plant that you're going to be eating at a later time. All right, next question. I feel like, I don't know, a talk show host with all my little cards. Can you add more trellises to the iHarvest? This was also from Facebook. This was a private message to me. Now, I wasn't 100% sure when they said trellises. I'm believing they're meaning the actual trellis, the metal trellis in the front. You cannot. There is only one of those trellises per level. Now that's just for the iHarvest, depending on what type of hydroponics you're doing. But you can do what I did. If you look at my other videos, right next to the wall of the unit, I actually have a outdoor rose trellis that I got at a farm store. Actually, no, I think I got that at Home Depot. And out in the outdoor garden. It was outside. I brought it in for the winter. I always do with my metals so they don't rust. And I decided to just lean it up against the wall. Then I have a cabinet in front of it to hold it. So, because it's one that you stake into the ground. So it's kind of just freestanding. And that's where my sugar snap peas. So anything that you have growing hydroponically in any unit that is going to spread or sprawl, you really want to take it off the unit. Most hydroponic systems have some kind of a trellis unit, but it will just grow right over top of another plant, block the sun or the LED lights or your grow lights, and then those plants won't thrive as much. So if you can get those to kind of go off onto something else, so you can use either a trellis, or I have seen people use outdoor lattice, like the wood lattice, where you can just buy a big section of it and they will actually screw it or nail it right into the wall if you're in a basement or in your room, that you can just, throw a whole bunch of tacks up on the wall, and then it's a little bit more secure. Like I said, mine is just kind of sitting behind a cabinet so it won't fall over, and I feel secure with that. But you could use a lattice or a rose trellis or any kind of an outdoor trellis. Depending on your type of plant, you may want to add some kind of a netting. I have had to help my sugar snap peas along a little bit and do, again, that flower tape or floral tape. And I've twisted it around because when you stretch it, it gets really sticky and tacky. And I have wrapped it around in a couple different sections on the metal trellis. And then my sugar snap peas really had something to grab a hold to. So that could be a little trick for you as well. What is the difference? I love this question. Okay, this came from MeWe, and I used to think this too and was not sure. So I really wanted to put this one in here. What is the difference between a regular seeds and heirloom seeds? Isn't that a great question? I see it all the time. What I'm going to have you think of is heirloom being an heirloom, right? So great grandma passed down an heirloom. There's something that's coming through generation to generation to generation. This has been in my family for years. So that is what an heirloom seed is that once that, let's use a green pepper, for example. Once that green pepper produces a pepper and you bring it inside the house and you cut it up and you stir fry it, you can take the seeds out, lay them on a paper towel and dry them. And then you can store them in Ziploc baggies. You can actually buy, which I can throw links to these descriptions of items in the comments after the live too for the playback. You can buy little seed packets. They're basically manila envelopes, but they're tiny. They're like 2x3s, and they would be about the same size as a seed packet. And you can put them in there, write on them, make cute little labels, whatever you want to do. That heirloom seed then can be planted the next year. And if it's a good heirloom seed from a good company, you can then take those seeds from that green pepper and plant it again and plant it again. Usually heirloom seeds go about 5 generations and then they will start to slow or start to die off. So if you get the heirloom seeds, you're probably going to get more life out of them, I guess you could say, but there is more work to it. You're not just going to take that green pepper and throw it away. Your regular seeds, if it does not say heirloom on it, if you're lucky, you can get 2 generations out of that, say pepper, whatever it might be, or tomatoes. So you want to kind of think about that you're going to buy your seeds pretty much every year, because you're not going to want to really take the time to dry out a whole bunch of seeds and maybe only have 1 or 2 that make it to a next generation. So heirloom seeds are good. And let's talk about seeds. I hope I don't knock this over. There we go. I got this from Johnny Seeds, if you guys can see that. I actually got on johnnyseeds.com, and they actually let you order a catalog, which is nice because most companies don't do that anymore. They want everything online, and I like to sit and plan and make notes, and it has everything. I mean, there's your potatoes, and they will tell you in here if they are heirloom or not. So that is a really good place to search for seeds, maybe even get some ideas, make yourself a shopping list, and then go to the store and buy different ones. Reminder to please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video, tell your friends about Grow with Angie. My little note. All right, next question. Can you make the iHarvest taller if you don't have room for more than one? This one also came from Facebook. The answer is yes. If you only have room for one, you can make it taller. They sell each individual row, which has 6 holes for 6 plants, but you should only go up 2 levels. 2 problems with it is the fountain. It's a fountain pump that comes with it. So the fountain pump has enough pressure to get the water up like it's shooting up into a little pond or a fountain. And it has to have enough pressure to go up the tubing of the unit. If you go too high with it, you would have to upgrade your pump to a bigger voltage or a bigger basically throw of water, and you would have to replace the piping or the tubing. It's a rubber tubing inside. The rubber tubing is set for sure to have the 6 levels that it has now. 5. It's 5 levels. Had to think about that. It is set to have 5 levels. You can definitely 100% add another level. Going 2 levels, you're going to have to replace the rubber tubing. So if you're willing to replace the rubber tubing and upgrade your pump, then absolutely you can make them taller. If you guys have any questions, shoot them to me. I'm hoping I can see everything. Like I said, it is my first live, so I'm trying to keep an eye on that as well. All right, so this was another question. This came from Lauren, and this was also in the Indoor Garden Works Facebook page, and this also has to do with seeds, and she asked where I buy my seeds. Well, I already told you my little trick about Johnny Seeds. I have not ordered from them yet. I would love to. I'm going to. They sell them. You can buy 2,000 seeds at a time. So they're, I think, more for like big farming, big, huge gardens. So if you really just want one little packet of seeds, you want 15 seeds, probably not going to want to order from Johnny's. So my places that I buy seeds are Tractor Supply Company. If you're from the area that I am, you may be familiar with a place called Family Farm and Home. It is more local, but they are spreading from state to state. So they are showing up a little bit more family farm and home based. I get a lot from them. Always look at the grocery store. Don't be surprised. Grocery stores, a lot of times in the spring, they'll put up a big spinner rack by the checkout and they'll have seeds, and just snag them up when you can. Another place that is, I think, very unexpected is the dollar store. And I have purchased a lot from the dollar store already this year, and they actually had packets of microgreens. A lot of their regular seeds are like 4 packs for $1 because, you know, it's the dollar store. And the microgreens are really big packs now because you're going to use a ton of seeds to create a tray of microgreens, which I'm experimenting with, and I will do a video on all of that. Those packs were $1 each and not the 4 for $1. So you can get those. Another place that's really an odd thing, I guess I never thought of, we have in our town a local hydroponics store, and they have all kinds of different types of hydroponics, not necessarily anything that I would grow myself, but I don't shame anybody if you want to. You grow whatever your heart's desire. They have everything hydroponics, and they are the most intelligent, crazy, smart people I think I've ever met when it comes to planting. I mean, the stuff that's in this head over there at that store is awesome. And he actually sells a lot of seeds and the microgreen seeds, and I just picked up like 3 or 4 really big bags. They were about $7, $6.95, but you're talking a little package bag, a bag. And then the other place would be Amazon, because, you know, Amazon's got everything. But just be aware that if you're picking things up at the grocery store or you're picking things up at the dollar store, they are not going to be heirloom. I'd be very surprised if you would find heirloom there. Heirloom is probably going to be more of your farm stores, Home Depot, Menards, that type of thing. They may have those as well, but definitely the actual farm stores will have those. All right, next question comes from Kim on my MeWe group. How do you secure the iHarvest to the wall? Do you recommend doing it, and will it fall over? Yes, you secure it to the wall, and I do recommend doing it. I was not going to when I first got it. I had just repainted our dining room and it was beautiful and the walls were untouched and clean, and I didn't want anything up there. And then you hang a picture and then you hang a picture. The latch that goes on the inside of the iHarvest, and when I get my second one, I'm going to be doing a full unboxing video and a assembly, putting it together video that I will put up, and I will show those pieces up close. It is literally a screw and then this little metal bracket that you put it in the hole and slide it up and it locks into place and it hooks to the back. The only reason I recommend it and why I ended up saying I'm just going to do it, it's another hole in the wall, it's like hanging a picture, was because if you have anything really heavy, if you're growing, say, tomatoes, and I'm going to start the mini cucumbers in my new one, you're going to have a lot of weight on the front. The base of it is very solid and it's full of water, but that top can still, and there have been a few stories of people that have woken up in the morning and they have toppled over because they had very heavy plants on the front. Growing lettuces, probably not going to have a problem. My kale does seem to be a little bit front heavy. Again, your herbs, you would not have a problem, but why risk it? It's a screw and a latch, and that was all. And if you are interested in the iHarvest itself, if you've watched my other videos, please do watch my other videos. If this is the first one that you found me on, go to those and see what it's really all about. I genuinely love this thing. I would not have, even started a YouTube channel if it wasn't for my iHarvest. So you can go to igworks.com, then go to the iHarvest full kit, and it will tell you everything that comes with it. And it's basically a set and go. There's nothing else that you need unless you're crazy like me and you just want all these random accessories. And when you go to check out, you can use the coupon code GROWWITHANGIE and you'll save $50 on it. And it gives you $50 off. And I do get a little commission from the company for recommending them. Now, I'm not here to be like, this is it, I'm going to be a millionaire by recommending this. I really genuinely want you guys to get 50% or $50 off. I used someone else's coupon code for $50 off when I purchased mine. Please use my code GROWWITHANGIE, have at it, get that discount. And then, you're helping me to grow my channel. You see this? Took a little minute to see my little microphone. I hope you guys can hear me okay. And the sound is good. Let me know in the comments if the sound is good. That just helps me out with getting new things and lighting and whatever, and to be able to take it out and go outside and do chickens and whatnot with the channel. So thank you. All right. This is just a reminder again for myself of something else. If you are beginning with chickens, I have seen these questions all over, but it's not any particular person. So I'm just going to say this is a big group question that I kind of put together. If you're a chicken beginner, what are some things that you recommend for chicken beginners? Oh, I thought I had that sitting on. I might have moved it. Oh, it's underneath of my iPad sitting here. I recommend Chicken Magazine. This is from the Hobby Farm Chicken Magazine. You can purchase your first one at Tractor Supply Company, and then it will have the little subscription card in it. I subscribed to this for about 4 years and still have a whole bunch of them. This really covers everything you need to know about starting with chickens. I also recommend, so these are kind of like my top 3 things. I also recommend metal barrels, like big metal barrels that you can get reused, reusable, or they're going to throw them away and they're selling them for $5. Make sure all of your food is in metal barrels. That's going to stop any little critters, mice, or whatever, chipmunks getting into your food, because once they do, you will not get rid of them. And my number 3, which when I do a video going outside to the coop, I will definitely be talking about this trick, and it is 5-foot dog fencing. You're going to put the 5-foot dog fencing 5 feet out from your coop, bend up the end and bolt it with screws and washers, and just tack it all the way down. You can either then cover it with dirt if you want to, use huge tent stakes out at the 5-foot end. We naturally let ours grow, and probably about, I don't know, I think we've been doing for about 8 years now. You don't even know that that fencing is there. And what that does is any critter that comes up, they're going to dig and they're going to dig and they're going to hit a chain link. And then they're going to dig and they're going to dig and they're going to hit another chain link. So every time they hit that chain link, they will eventually give up and leave. So those are my top. This is an Instagram message that I got actually, which is grow lights. What is better for indoor gardening, LED or fluorescent? To make this a simple, not complicated answer, this really has to be your choice of what you want to do. I can tell you that fluorescent lights are less efficient as far as your electrical bill. They're going to take a lot more energy. They do have the toxic mercury in them because it's the big tube fluorescent lighting. But on a positive note, they do have a heat outsource. So if you ever buy a fluorescent light bulb, they're going to put out a little bit of heat, and depending on your temperature of your house and how you control your indoor environment, you may want that heat. And they're going to be less costly. Big fluorescent tubing is very inexpensive. Now, LEDs, just like any LED light bulb that we're all now changing in our houses, it is very much more efficient on your electrical bill, cheaper to run. They're safe. Some of them are even in plastic, or you can get the little strip lighting from Amazon, which is super duper cheap. You're still going to have a really good output of light, and sometimes even higher. You can crank your light up and down on them. They can be more expensive to start, but they will last longer. They do not burn out as much as fluorescent, and they are non-toxic. All right, what is the size of the iHarvest water reservoir or tank? And this came from the Facebook group of the indoor garden groups, and this was a huge debate in a good way. But this was a debate about how big the tank was because of adding food. How much food do I have to add? For how many gallons do I have? It is a 14-gallon tank, but you're not going to fill it all the way up. You fill it underneath of a little basket that's in there. And honestly, the food is how much food do your plants eat? And that's why they have the testers, the ppm, or particles per million testers, to see how much food is floating in there. So whether you have 5 gallons in it or, all the way overflowing at 14, but the answer is 14 gallons. What do you do with your herbs? This was actually a video that I did, and I cook with them. I add them to salads and tacos, and my favorite is to dry them for spices. Now, the cilantro we use a lot in food. My husband loves his cilantro, and the basil is just growing like crazy. I have like trees of basil. So a lot of those I have to dry. The dill I do regular, I'll cook with. But I really like to dry the dill too, because I'll make my own tartar sauce. So you kind of put that in there. And I should do a recipe for my tartar sauce. It's really good. I can't even buy the store kind anymore. All right. This is from MeWe. And it says, how do you get started with straw bale gardening? Because I mentioned this in another video. That's a really loaded question, and I will be doing a video on it in the summer when I go outside. There is a book called Straw Bale Gardening, and I have it. And of course, just like, I knew I was going to go live, and I have torn my house apart and I can't find it anywhere. I was going to show you what it looks like, but it's called Straw Bale Gardening, and it gives you every detail of how to do it. And it's almost a must. Mine's highlighted, sticky notes, tabs, everything. Can you do this anywhere? Yes, that was the second part of it. You can do this anywhere. So if you have a really, really huge area to do a garden, have at it. My first year I did 65 bales, which was probably too many. I bit off a lot on that one. But if you have a small space, a little patio, a little deck, and you just want to do 2 or 3 bales, you can just line them up next to each other. You don't need any space at all. You could do 2 bales stacked up this way and just fill the sides of them with flowers and have this big, massive waterfall of flowers. You can do them. You can do them anywhere. There is no bending over because the higher you take it, the more you're planting. And a normal bale, when they're on their side, if you have green beans, you're just walking out, your green peppers, your tomatoes, your jalapeno peppers, whatever, it's all right there. And you just walk through and harvest, and there's no weeds. Now I say weeds because I bought my bales from a place that did not crop the wheat or the straw down far enough, and it left the little tops in there, and they grew just like my vegetables did. And so I was constantly pulling like grass out, and then after a while I just whatever left it. But there won't be any weeds that would overrun or take your vegetables. This is my last question. So see, I'm doing good on time. I didn't want to go too long. What is the purpose of composting inside with worms? Again, this was another one that I have a video on composting worms. And the biggest thing is to compost your scraps. You're taking all this time to grow these beautiful greens, whether on a hydroponic system, garden outside, and you have tomatoes and all this wonderful stuff. Your green peppers, you cut that little stem off. Well, you grew the stem. It was a lot of work, right? So why throw it away? If you put it into a composter, the worms are going to eat it. And like I said in my worm video, which please watch that, the worms poop. And the worms poop out this wonderful black dirt. And there's actually, if you have a worm composting bin, the bottom layer, it's actually heavier. So it falls through the dirt. It's this really thick, almost slimy, I guess you can say. It's the worm casting. And that is what they call black gold. It is the most rich, beautiful thing you can give your plants. So you're growing something, you're cutting it up and eating it. The scraps go to your worms. They poop out black gold. You put it back out in your garden, and it's this big, beautiful 360 of nature. It's awesome. So that is my last question. And I want to thank everybody for submitting questions or just conversations that we've had, quite honestly, on the different social media platforms that I have, that I got these. Feel free, if you friend me on Facebook, again, first name Grow, last name with Angie, and send me a direct message. That's fine. I try and answer them as much as I can. Put questions down here if you're watching this on the playback, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Check out my other videos on the iHarvest if you're interested in purchasing one of those. igworks.com, coupon code GROW with Angie. And I also have the Arrow Garden for someone who doesn't have a lot of space. I am testing one of those. It's doing very well. So check out my Instagram for pictures on that. And again, please hit the like button, hit that subscribe button so I can keep doing this wonderful channel. It has really brought me great joy during this being locked down stage of my life. And yeah, I'm just excited for the summer so we can take this show outside and show you the beautiful chickens and what we're going to be doing for our gardening. I thank you very much for joining me today. And remember, again, it is not whether or not you have a green thumb, but it is about the dirt underneath of your fingernails. So thank you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.